today. It's going to be different. All right, welcome to community call number 15. Hope wherever you are, you're having a good day, and let's get started. So quick overview of what we're going to talk about. You may notice Sunny's not here. Sunny's taking his final exam, so it's just me today. I'm going to go through Rex Market version 2, give everyone an update where that stands. We'll talk about DAO governance like we usually do. We'll talk about business development and media as we usually do. And then the end of the call, we'll talk about the Rex Force protocol, which I did some work on while development was blocked. And then also future product development, which I also did some work on just because it's about that time where we start doing another round of feature work rather than just, sort of miscellaneous things. So Rex Market V2, where is that at? So we went through and deployed the initial markets. So here's a list of the initial markets. Basically, it's ETH, Wrapped Bitcoin, Matic, and RIC paired with USDC and DAI. And the markets ran for about 11 days with no problems. On the 11th day, one of the markets we noticed wasn't distributing. So what we had, and this is the current blocker section at the bottom, what we figured out was after a couple of days of searching for the issue, we found that when people unsubscribe from their IDA subscriptions, that actually triggers a situation where the app gets jailed. So we've already patched the error, and I'll redeploy contracts this week. So we'll basically redeploy 8 markets, and then we'll swap those out in the app, and everything should be good to go. One of the things we learned from the first version was that when we create these contracts, we should wait until we get a lot of users to test them out. And that's exactly what happened, which was we had one user, Jalil, I hope I said his name right, who was testing out the markets and just happened to notice that it wasn't working correctly for him. However, it was working correctly for everyone who used it prior to 3/12. This was right around, or I think actually 3/10. 3/10 was when it happened, and then 3/12, March 12th, I think we figured out, someone noticed that it was not working. And it wasn't all the markets. So it was only 2 of the markets. So the other ones were completely unimpacted. And yeah, this is why we don't add subsidies right away. In version 1, we basically were quick to add subsidies, and then people would like ape into these contracts, and then next thing you know, there would be some issue, and we would end up locking up or losing like $10,000 of other people's money. So, and a lot of my money because I was a big early streamer. So this time around, we haven't been subsidizing them. The volumes have been very low relative to where they were with subsidies. And as a result, when this happened, it was only 2 of us that were really impacted. And the total loss was about $400, $500. So it wasn't really that big of an issue. Could have been a lot worse if we had, jumped the gun on subsidies. And yeah, so speaking of the subsidies, we will be subsidizing all 8 markets with the 10,000 tokens. This was the original plan back in February, to just use 10,000 tokens per month per market. And we'll restart these after we let the contracts run for 10 days, give people a chance to mess around with them and make sure that there aren't any small errors that are still left. And then after that, we can resume subsidies. The idea would be do it on a Thursday, and then basically give people 3 days notice. So that just gives people time to get their stream set up. So it's not unfair that, the people who were already prepared, who were testing it during that 10-day window, they don't really have that much of an advantage because everyone's getting, basically you're getting 10 days notice and then you're getting 3 days notice, which means like we'll let people know on a Monday and then we'll start subsidies on a Thursday. And that'll be your 3 days notice. So, and I think Monday's a good day to do an announcement like that because people are getting back to their desks and people should be listening and paying attention. So that should be good. So yeah, the current blocker was the bug that we discovered a couple days ago, and that's been resolved. And then we will redeploy these markets. So that's the status update on Ricochet version 2. So let's talk about DAO governance items. So there's 3 items to talk about. The first is Sunny's bounty payout, which I think is totally fair. He put a link in the Discord, basically a retroactive payout for performance he did starting from the beginning, right? So that's sort of the model here, is pay for performance. And I don't think there's any debate. I think it got all +1s from signaling. So that's great, and that's going to happen. There's also Rex Bank funding tuning. So we've been running, there was a large buffer of USDCX in the treasury. I think we started with like almost 35,000 in USDCX, just sort of sitting there idle. And we opened a stream for like 35,000. For a while, the Launchpad was bringing in close to 50,000. But since then, everything has sort of subsided. So the rates need to be tuned. I just happened to notice this weekend, I was looking at it. I don't check the treasury that often, but I do check it at least once a week. And I just happened to notice that there were only like 3 days left of streaming before our stream would basically run out of USDCX. So I did, from the treasury, we just did sort of an emergency, like, let's lower the rate. So the Launchpad, it was about $10,000 per month streaming in. So I just lowered the rate down to 10,000. And the funding proposal that I want to put out in Snapshot is just basically to say that every month we should just retune this stream, and we should retune it based on some kind of formula. My thought was just like, whatever the Launchpad is, just tune it to that stream. So if at the end of the month or at the beginning of the month, if the Launchpad's doing $25,000 input, then the stream to the bank should just be 25,000 USDCX into it. So it's just kind of like redirecting the funds into the bank. The reason to do that is the bank is our highest grossing product, unsubsidized product. It brings in about $15,000, maybe $16,000 a year now in treasury income. So it's actually a pretty good place to redirect those funds. And the people who borrow from the bank are Ricochet holders, right? So that includes the team, that includes anyone who's holding Rick. So I think it's a pretty appropriate use of that fund, that stream of funds coming in. And then the last thing is, since we're going to redeploy all the contracts, I thought it makes sense to do like a vote on what we should do the referral rate. I would like someone else to put this proposal out there if they have 10,000 tokens. If no one does it this week, I will probably just do it. But the proposed values that I have are, just say like this range: 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, and then just whatever the majority vote is. I've been talking to some more people about the referral rate, and it does seem like 30% is about where other exchanges are at. So that's the one that I would probably vote for. But yeah, I mean, if people want to do 50%, I know Sunny suggested 100%. I really don't think that's a good idea. The DAO does need fees. So, things need to accrue. So if 100%, I don't think would work, because I think most of the volume is going to come from referrals. And if we give away most of our fees to the referral people, then what's left for the DAO? So like I said, I think 30% is good. And if someone could help me maybe put the proposal together. Remember, there is a proposals guideline in the docs, how to do a proposal. And it starts with putting your proposal in Discord and letting people signal whether they like it or dislike it, and request changes or propose changes to it, right? You don't have to, I mean, the proposed changes don't mean that the changes have to happen, but you just have to at least put the proposal in Discord, write out the language that's going to be posted to Snapshot. Make sure there's no typos. It just looks bad if we put things on Snapshot with typos. And then we can do the vote. So like I said, it would be great if someone else could do that. If someone else wants to do that, you can either get in touch with me, or you can just go ahead and take the liberty to post it in proposals chat. If nobody does it by like towards the end of the week, maybe by Thursday, I'll just do it, right? So if no one does it in the next 48 hours, I'll just take care of it. So, all right. So that's DAO governance. Take a look at business development media. So the big update is this explainer video, which is really well done. I'm sorry, I don't remember which community member did it. Otherwise, I'd give you credit on the call. But I think, let me just see if my screen share is set up to do the thing. I mean, it's just a 2-minute video. I think it's great to watch it. So let me just, can anyone hear the audio, by the way? Are people hearing that audio?
We can hear it, but I can hear it, but it's like breaking up.
Okay. It's breaking up. All right. Well, let me just stop my screen share and restart it and make sure I check the little box. Make sure I check the little box to, oh yeah, no, I don't think it was sharing sound. We're probably just hearing it out of my headphones. All right. Well, we're not going to watch the video because it wants me to close Zoom and reopen Zoom, so I can do that. I just updated my Mac, so I guess that's why. But anyway, the main thing that I really like about it is it has this really nice explainer. I don't know why I just keep doing that. It has this really nice explainer video where basically it goes through how the Rex market works. Below here is sort of a screenshot of it, and it just sort of shows how the liquidity pools in the contract and then gets swapped. And then since it's a two-way market, it swaps just the surplus. So I think it's really well done. I can't wait to share it more. I'm not sure if there's a plan to share it, but I'll definitely be tweeting it out later. And then, yeah, the other sort of business development thing is Superfluid is going to be deploying on Arbitrum and Optimism. I think there is there's a deployment guide. So I'm not sure if they've been deployed, but there is a deployment guide, so they can be deployed. They're ready to be deployed. I think the Superfluid wants a community member to deploy it. I was going to deploy it, but I just don't want to do it. I don't really want to do it. It just seems like I could anyway, it's some work to do. So I'll let somebody else handle it. And then once it's ready, and then, yeah, just from a business development perspective, like moving to other chains is fine. There's like some legwork to do because we have dependencies. Just because Superfluid is on that network doesn't mean Ricochet can be there. We also have to discuss getting Teller Oracle onto that network. So yeah, just because Superfluid's an Arbitrum, it doesn't mean we can go on Arbitrum. We need to make sure that Teller is on Arbitrum as well. There's really no rush, in my opinion, to deploy to other chains because we're still deploying contracts that have bugs, right? So until we have like a really well-working system, until we have contracts that are really stable and implement all the features that we want, then we can think about copying and pasting our system onto other networks. All right, so the main thing that I wanted to talk about was, since I was blocked on the Superfluid, waiting for Superfluid to help me figure out what's wrong with the contracts, I did some work on a few other things that we need to do. So the first one is the X-Force protocol. And for those who don't really remember, this is a sort of a decentralized autonomous workforce. And basically the gist of this is the payouts to the team are handled via a protocol. So it's not any one individual or any small group of individuals that are the bottleneck on paying people out. People get paid based on a protocol. So in a way, we all work for the X-Force contract, which I think is, I don't know if anyone's doing that, but I think that's the way it should be in a decentralized autonomous workforce. It shouldn't just be, a small group of people that can say, I don't think this person should get paid. Whatever. It should be done via, some kind of on-chain governance system. So at a top level, just the flow of funds, we talk about if you're a captain's role, which is basically the main role of a team member. If you want to be a captain, you get a certain amount of lawful authority within the protocol. And the main authority is the ability to create bounties and attach money or attach RIC tokens to the bounties. So the flow of funds is like, basically we'll set a X-Force budget. It'll be a stream from the treasury into the X-Force contract, which I refer here as the X-Force war chest. And then from that fund, from that war chest, captains will receive a base pay salary stream. right? And the general idea in the little yellow box is that the budget that we agree upon for RexForce, the amount that's streamed from the treasury, this amount here, is going to be more or a higher rate than the sum of all of the captain's base pays. And the reason to do that is because the surplus that accumulates in the war chest is used for bounty payouts. In this way, it's actually going to provide some clarity to people with respect to what happens to the 8 million tokens that sit in the treasury. This rate can basically be fixed and voted upon to be changed. And then that lets people kind of figure out, well, what's the distribution plan? You know, people like those like Excel charts that they make where they show that they're going to just distribute a ton of tokens over months, and people make decisions based on that. So yeah, this will sort of allow us to have, you know, kind of a some certainty around how the funds in the bricks in the treasury are getting distributed, and how the supply is inflating. So yeah, there's a couple other pieces. So this is mostly for the people who are going to work on Solidity smart contracts. I did this before with Shreyas, and I hope I pronounced your name right. And I basically produced this for the Rex referral system. These are referred to as timing diagrams. They sort of show, you know, the protocol from this perspective. And the gist of it is I have a couple of these. So the first one is this onboard captain flow. So like I said, anyone can apply to be a captain. You just need to have 10,000 RIC tokens. As a captain, you have to stake these tokens because those tokens are basically at risk of being lost as part of your, you know, depending on your performance, right? So if you sign up to be a captain and you're just kind of a lazy captain, or you're basically overpaying yourself, the other captains can essentially dispute you. So the way that it works here is you apply to be a captain. This is first section. You apply to be a captain. You transfer 10,000 RIC to the RexForce contracts. It starts a captain's vote, and then the other captains vote on yay or nay. There'll be a 2/3 quorum. So 2/3 of the captains have to, someone's, all right. There has to be a 2/3 quorum, and the majority of the votes need to be a 1 or a yes to pass. I don't know why that says. Did I put these out of order? Wait a minute. No, wait, let me go back to this. I must have skipped ahead. So anyway, they apply, they start a captain's vote. The vote is either yay or nay, and then the captain's vote can be ended by anyone. Once the vote has ended, if it's positive, then a stream of 10,000 RIC gets opened. That's your base pay. And then you also get an NFT, captain's NFT in your wallet. That is your sort of proof of association or proof of affiliation. Basically works like a badge so that you can very easily show people, yes, I was a captain. You know, here's the proof. So like I said, if you're a captain, that puts your funds at risk if you're not performing up to the standards that the team sets for themselves. So the way that works is any captain can dispute another captain. They have to make a deposit of 1,000 RIC. So there is a dispute fee, just because I don't want, there can't be a situation where it doesn't cost anything to dispute someone. If you dispute someone, it needs to be for a good reason, and you need to be putting up a financial, like basically this works as a deposit. So if your dispute doesn't go your way, then you lose the 1,000 RIC tokens. If the dispute goes your way and the captain is basically slashed, then you get your deposit back as the disputer. So when you start a dispute, you just dispute the captain based on their ID, and then you transfer 1,000 RIC. That starts a dispute. The same voting happens, 2/3 quorum, and a majority vote has to be in favor of it. And then anyone can just end the dispute. Once the dispute ends, if it's determined that the captain should be slashed, then the captain gets slashed, which means that they lose their 10,000 tokens. Those 10,000 tokens just go into the war chest. It's not like anyone gets those 10,000 tokens. They just go back into the pool of money. They go back into the pool of RIC tokens that can be used to send to the team. So there is no financial incentive to dispute someone, there's only a financial disincentive, which is the fact that if you dispute someone and it's not for a good reason, and the other captains don't vote your way, then you actually pay 1,000 RIC tokens. You lose 1,000 RIC tokens as a disputer. So, and then at the end, the captain gets removed. If a captain is removed via slashing or via this dispute flow, then they lose their captain's NFT. So at that point, they have no way of verifying that they actually are a captain. Their NFT is revoked. And then the other piece here, I don't have the offboarding a captain, but generally it's just like if you're a captain and you want to leave, there's the same thing, which is you go into a voting period where they ask, are you allowed to leave gracefully, or are we going to slash your stake because you kind of were like a lazy captain? But this, I think, is the most important workflow, which is once you become a captain, you have the authority to create bounties. I think initially I talked about creating milestones and bounties, but I realized that that's just like an extra layer of complexity. So I think we just go with bounties. Everything's a bounty. So you create a bounty. The URI of the bounty ends up being the GitHub link to the issue. So bounties are GitHub issues. Every bounty is a GitHub issue. Business development, media, it's all GitHub. So everyone will need to learn GitHub if they wish to participate. Once a bounty is created, another captain, a second captain has to first approve the bounty. Once the bounty's been approved, it's escrows. The payment for the bounty gets escrowed. And then after the bounty is completed, the captain that created the bounty can approve it, and then another captain can approve it. It's really just two captains have to approve the payout. So everything is done in like twos. So a captain has to create the bounty, a captain has to approve the bounty that's been created, and then after the bounty is complete, two captains have to approve the payout to whoever it goes to, right? You approve a payout to a specific address. So that address could be another captain, right? You could be creating bounties to pay yourself, which is totally what you're supposed to be doing as a captain. The base pay isn't very high. So the idea is that you're supposed to create bounties that you work on so that you can get paid more. The idea is also you create bounties that other people can work on. And then, yeah, once a bounty gets paid out, you get a RIC, your bounty, your escrowed payment is sent out to you as a payout. And then we also mint a bounty NFT, right? So we mint this bounty NFT so that we can build what's called a service record, which is we can just look at your wallet and we can see, okay, yeah, you have a captain's NFT. It's, number 1 of 10 or whatever, or 2 of 10. And then you get a bounty NFT, which basically links back to the issue that you worked on. So that in your wallet, you sort of build up this proof of history. The bounty NFTs don't disappear like your captain NFT. So if you're a captain and you leave, you basically return your captain's NFT, but you keep all your bounty NFTs just to show proof of work, right? It proves that you did that work. So that's that, right? Okay, so we'll take all the questions at the end, but the last thing that I have here is the Rex Force product development. So like I said, I was blocked this week on working on the Rex market, so I did this instead. Basically, I think we talked about this a few times, which is a Rex market version 1.2. There's just a few other things that need to go into the Rex market contracts right now. The first of which is just reducing the contract size. So our two-way Rex market is basically at the limit, the size limit. I think the limit is less than 24.6. I think it's 24.5 or something. But anyway, the first order of business is just we have to reduce the contract sizes. Everything that comes after this issue at the top is dependent on that, because right now you literally can't fit anything else into the contract. It's just at the limit right now. So I've been doing a few things to reduce the contract size myself, such as using custom errors, which was recommended to me by Axe at Superfluid. But yeah, so that's the first order of business. The second thing is just redoing how we incentivize keepers. Keepers, they get paid this monthly stipend. Unfortunately, they don't all keep, including myself, they don't all keep very close of an eye on their keepers, and there's downtime, and they're basically all getting paid despite not everyone performing at the same level. So this task is just to implement, again, a pay per performance task, which is keepers are going to get paid a certain portion of the fees. And then in that way, keepers can sort of trigger the markets and get paid right away for the work that they do, rather than being paid for something. And I just kept this out because at the time when we were creating it, it was just kind of complicated to do it. But I think we need to do it because the sending payouts to keepers just to keep them involved is not very capital efficient. The next order of business is upgrading to Teller Flex. So Teller has released a new Oracle contract, which has a lot of extra features that are great. They actually are publishing all of the prices on CoinGecko. So that's just how scalable their keeper is compared to Chainlink, is they can just say blanket, we're just going to publish everything on CoinGecko, right? So I don't know if they do all of it or the top 1,000 or the top 2,000, but point is we should upgrade. It'll give us a lot much better. And the team from Teller has actually already contributed this feature. So it just needs to be rolled in and released into production. The next one is creating a Rex Market Factory. This is similar to how Uniswap Factory is used to deploy the Uniswap pairs. So this is just to create a factory contract so that deploying new markets can be done in a permissionless way. And then after that, we have integrating with Uniswap v3. So this issue is just to create a Rex market contract that integrates with Uniswap v3 as opposed to the Uniswap v2 compatible markets. It should be a pretty easy thing to do if you look at the pattern of practice in the, or if you look at the, the programming paradigm that we have with the extending the base market contract. Really you can just take the two-way market and just swap out the swap function with a different swap function. And then the last piece here, these are just bounties for creating yield-bearing markets. So StakeDAO is currently, from my understanding, the highest yielding market. And then behind that, we have Idle and Aave, who both yield very similar rates. And yeah, so this last piece is just to create these yield-bearing markets. Aave is probably the most difficult. StakeDAO and Idle should be pretty straightforward. But I just put the bounty as the same for all of them because they all add value. So that's Rex Market version 2.1. The other piece is Rex Launchpad version 2. The main thing here is just integrating some of the features that are in the Rex markets. So the first feature would be the referral system, integrate the referral system. The second feature would be using IDA fee distributions rather than ERC20 fee distributions, which is how it works right now. Similarly, create a Rex Launchpad factory contract similar to the Uniswap factory, which is used to make Uniswap pairs. And then the last piece, which I think is the largest piece, is creating a white labeled Launchpad DApp. So basically, brands are not necessarily going to want to refer people to Ricochet Exchange. They're going to want to have it right on their website, or they're going to want to have a branded experience or an embeddable experience. So this issue is about creating that so that brands or projects can create these launch pads and not have it be Ricochet and distract from their project, but just have it all be their project. And it's just Ricochet on the back end contract. Don't even need to say it. That's what white labeling is. So that's Rex Launchpad version 2. I don't have a bank one. I don't have a bank version 2, but there is the one GitHub issue about creating interest, paying your interest via stream, which I know Sunny's been working on. And that's really all I think goes into Rex Bank version 2, is just streaming interest payments. So yeah, that's all I have. So I guess we can take questions from the audience, and I'm also gonna pull up the the questions in our spreadsheet. So anyone, the folks here, anyone have any questions? Let's see if I can find. No? All right, so I'm just opening up the spreadsheet now. Let me see. I don't think we didn't get any questions. Last chance for questions from the group. All right, well, that's that then. So I'll stop my share. So thanks for coming. Always happy to chat with everyone, and I hope to see you on the next community call. So I'll stop the recording, and then if there's anyone that was too shy to ask questions, I'll answer questions off recording. So take care, everyone.